ritual murders. Adrian Lim, a charlatan medium seen by many as the very embodiment of evil, and his two holy wives kidnapped, tortured, and killed a pair of children. I will read an excerpt from the book Guilty as Charged, which will better explain what exactly happened. The first victim was little Agnes Ng, curled up in the fetal position inside a travel bag by the lift landing. She was discovered by a 25-year-old carpenter at the ground floor of Block 11, Toa Payoh, Lorong 7, as he headed back home after a night out at the movies on January 25, 1981. They found the bag, opened the zipper, and out popped her head, said retired police officer S.K. Menon, who was then the officer in charge of the CID Special Investigation Section. He did not know about it then, but the 9-year-old girl was the first of the two ritual murder victims of Adrian Lim, an unemployed 39-year-old who claimed to be a medium, his wife Catherine Tan Mui Chu, and his mistress Ho Ka Hong. Agnes was abducted by Ho at the Church of the Risen Christ in Toa Payoh and taken to Lim's flat. She was injected with a sedative and then suffocated. She was also sexually assaulted by Lim. A week after her death, someone either Tan or Ho called Agnes's mother, threatening to chop Agnes's sister up, but with few clues where the body was found. Cracking the case was difficult, said Mr. Menon. The pressure was surely on when the trio's second victim, Ghazali Marzuki, then was found almost 2 weeks after Agnes. He was just lying there on the grass patch, said Mr. Menon. Ghazali was taken to Lim's flat where he was drugged, choked, and drowned. There were also 3 burn marks on his back and a puncture in his arm. This time, there was a trail of blood leading from Ghazali's body all the way to Lim's residence at Block 12. He did not realize the body was dripping blood from the nose, said Mr. Menon. The blood, that was his undoing. Officers cordoned off the area, then searched the blockhouse. When they got to the 7th floor, they found Lim dressed in a shirt and pants, seemingly about to make a run for it, said Mr. Menon. The house was very eerie. It was lit with amber light, and right in front, when you go in, is the altar. Officers found various religious items in the flat, and on the altar, Mr. Menon mentioned, there were crucifixes and Hindu and Chinese idols, some of which were smeared with blood. Suspicions were aroused further when a drop of blood was spotted on the kitchen floor. I asked him about it, and he said Chinese New Year was just over and he had been killing chickens in the kitchen, said Mr. Menon, adding that tests later revealed it was human blood. Officers searched the house thoroughly and also found vials of blood in the fridge. But the most damning evidence was a single piece of paper. We found a slip of paper inside a telephone book with both their names, Agnes and Ghazali's. We knew then that that was the man, said Mr. Menon, noting that while the girl's name had been included in media reports, Ghazali's body had been found only that morning. Lim and the 2 women were arrested and taken into custody. They later confessed that the murders were malicious acts of revenge. At that point in time, the police were investigating a rape charge against Lim. He was annoyed and angry with the constant questioning and claimed that he was framed. He decided to exact revenge on the police by murdering children, sending Tan and Ho to hunt for victims. The court heard details about the depraved lifestyles of Ho, Tan, and Lim, his work as a medium, and how he subjected his victims to electroshock therapy. Ho's husband, Benson Low was subjected to the torture some years earlier and died. At the time, Ho told investigators that he had been electrocuted while trying to switch on a broken fan. The case had so shocked and horrified Singapore that crowds gathered outside the courts to catch a glimpse of the trio and get a first-hand experience of the trial. On May 23, 1983, all three were sentenced to death. The trio were hanged on November 25, 1988 at Changi Prison. On the stand, Adrian Lim testified that his main reason for killing the children was to offer them as a sacrifice to the deity Kali, who would help him escape the rape charge and solve other problems. In all my years as a police officer, I never came across anything else like this, said Mr. Menon. People were so scared that some of them did not want to send their children to school. That's it for the Forbidden Door. Hope you enjoyed this video and I'll see you again soon.